What is up, crew? Welcome to Seek the Edge podcast with me, Kelsey Lensman, where our mission is to challenge you outside of your comfort zone so you can tap into and live the God-given potential inside. And this individual that I have on the podcast today means so much to me personally because if you know me, you know I am very particular on just who I receive feedback and information from because I think it's very important to be intentional about that. And because I'm a root cause girl, meaning I want to figure out the why behind a lot, for a long time when I was trying to find somebody to challenge me to the next level and to encourage me to dig deeper within myself, it wasn't years until I found Thalia Dorsten. And she's somebody over this past year specifically. It's funny because we went to Ohio State together, not the same grade, but together at athletic training at Ohio State. And then years later, we come back into one another's lives. And now she's been a coach of mine for, it's been probably almost a year?
Almost
now?
a year.
Yeah, almost a year now. And what's beautiful about this is we talk here too about it's not just the physical growth, it's the emotional growth. It's the you looking inside to see the desires that have already been placed within you. And she's somebody that has really helped me know myself better, which in turn helps me serve better. And so Thalia Dorsten, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I really received that. And it's beautiful to be in your life. You know, it's funny about meeting you way back when we were so young and still figuring out. I was literally lost in the matrix.
Yeah.
And to see the people that we've grown into now it's bananas.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy when you think back to it? Which we're going to start with this because take me back, and we're not going to go the whole history of your life, but to have somebody with the depth of what you have, there's hardship that's been through, there's beautiful hot mountaintop moments, but there's also some valley moments that has brought you to the lessons here. So I want to go into that for a second, is what brought you here to be inspired to be this coach to help people look within, but then also been reflective in your life to understand, man, this is why. This is the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. You want the origin story?
Come on, baby, bring it.
What's so interesting about that is, we could really bring this back to be a multi-generational thing.
Yeah.
So I'm multi-ethnic, white and black. And anytime we start talking about, this might be a little niche, but if you want to think of, but everybody has this, so it's important to talk about intergenerational trauma. So science has now confirmed that we carry the baggage from up to 3 to 5 generations before us. It lives in our DNA. It is literally a part of us. And so when we are doing our healing journey, what's great about that too is you can think about this as this journey is not just for you. It's not just for the people in front of you either, the future, your children and your children's children, but it also heals the past too, because sure, time on earth as we experience it is this linear thing. But if we want to talk about really being tapped into God, God doesn't know time.
Right.
That was created for us humans to be able to work through our soul mission and do it in a step-by-step linear process and to live a lifetime to really experience what does life and death look like? So what's that lifetime look like? But that's why when we do our healing work, it doesn't just affect you, it affects generations before and after you. So why I bring that up now is because that's such a big part of my healing journey, especially as a multi-ethnic American, and the different upbringing that comes with that. So I would say because of some of that stuff, of just the nature of being a Black person in America, having that in my household as part of my upbringing, not only tapped me into the suffering of a whole people's, but also tapped me into as well my father really instilling this drive of excellence within me, right? That kind of chip was on my shoulder, right? It's you are coming from a class that is just now emerging as even a class that can work and make money and own property, all that stuff. Right. So I think I had some of that. And then also from my mom's upbringing too, being rural upstate New York, kind of also a class that wasn't really, born to be great if you think of it like that, right? So she really climbed her way out of the gutter if you want to think of it like that. So that's what I was carrying from the moment of my conception, even beforehand. And so there was a lot of trial and tribulation. Both my parents were really young, which means that there was a lot of a long learning curve for them too. And so they didn't do things perfectly. But when it comes to inner work, a lot of, I guess you could say, the people who are like not into it or want to eye roll at it are like, oh, here we go again. Your psychologist is going to tell you like, blame your parents for all your issues. And that's not it at all. But we don't want to ignore what was instilled from us from our childhood, because our subconscious mind is the most active in that age of like 0 to 7, right? It's like we are just a sponge soaking up information about what does the world look like? What we want to make meaning out of everything, right? And that's just the mind's job. So that is the nature of how our entire operating manual, you can think of it like that, is formed between the ages of 0 and 7. So you talk about like understanding and the work we did together of why do I react this way in a hard situation, or why do I put this upper limit on myself? That's why we always go to the root of like, when was the first time you experienced this? So when you talk about like, how did I become the person that I've become and teach what I teach and coach what I coach, it's because of working through my own transformation, I guess you could say, when I did wake up. Because up until that point, you know, once that was instilled, and then I'm just running through life of, let me please, let me be successful, or what I think success looks like based on what my parents told me success looks like, based on what school and society tells me success looks like. And it was so exhausting, and it led to burnout, and it led to me just being so lost and me just numbing myself because I didn't know any other tools to not just like manage my pain and stress and anxiety, but just search for the meaning of life. And I've always been so curious about the meaning of life. I've always been really connected to spirit, to God. So it just makes sense that like, okay, that was my path in my early life so that I would have material to talk about, to really understand what this work is really about, so that now that I'm in this chapter, I am ready to like be the vessel for it. So that transformation happened. I mean, those are different stories, but I had this awakening experience in Costa Rica when I was going through my yoga teacher training. And then I've had several other experiences since then of like, what does it really look like to be tapped in? And what does it really mean to heal? And what does it really mean to live a life that's on purpose? So yeah, it was just a culmination of not just having a life experience, but being reflective enough and curious enough and willing enough to get the resources, the training, the support to move through those and become a better person afterwards. Because I do really think all of us go through that, and we have this like crux point of like, when you go through this really hard time or even this really big exciting thing, are you going to keep going the way that you've been going and not make any changes at all? Because that's a choice, and there's nothing wrong with you for doing that, because life is really kind. It's going to give you unlimited chances until your time to transition back to the spirit realm is time. It's going to give you unlimited chances to step into your full potential. And you get to choose, am I ready or am I not? And so I guess my mission now is like, I want to help people navigate that choice point in their own lives, to go on the path that lights them up the most, to do it with more ease, that they don't have to wait until they're in so much pain to actually finally make that point. Like, you know, this, people are motivated by either pain or pleasure. So it's like, can we move that scale up? So you move from this point of like, how good can life be, versus moving from, oh my God, I'm so miserable, I need to do something. But we all have those moments where we're at rock bottom, and that literally is the catapult that takes us to the next level. But it doesn't all have to be that painful. So that was a really long answer to your question.
This is good. So we're going to talk about what's been really impactful for me. But before that is just knowing the women that we have listening to this is they're a group, as myself included, is they can kind of self-describe as very high achievers or go-getters, right? You're not listening to Seek the Edge of your comfort zone and you're like just chilling and doing that. Like, it's a specific type of crew that listen to this and they're excited about growing. And also, and I can see this in myself before, also we've done a lot of work in the past couple of years for me, is we can attach this label of being the high achiever and go-getter because we're trying to also run away from some fears or some things. And I want to hit on that for a second, is for that go-getter, high-achieving woman, what have you found from the people that you've worked with either be new realizations that they've had within themselves or the root cause of some fears that they're having that's driving that? And it's not that it's a bad thing, but when we're only in our driver 24/7, go, 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 and I say this to me, it will exhaust us. So can you speak on that a little bit?
I think a lot of high performers have a misconception that their stress and it like gives them energy. So they've got to like stay these stressed out individuals because that's the only way that they're going to perform at a high level. Yeah. I used to say that about procrastination, right? I was like, I have to wait to the last minute because I'm the most creative or the most inspired. I do it faster when I wait to the last minute and I'm so stressed out and then I just like have that deadline. Yeah. But honestly, that actually is slowing you down. And people have this idea of like, I can only be one or the other. Like if I stop, and I mean, maybe this is because everybody's a little bit different, but I think something that's really common is if I stop, I'll never start again, or I'll just be lazy. They have some sort of resistance to resting. And so the question that I think people should be asking themselves is kind of twofold, because what you're describing here is something called competing desire. Like, I desire to be successful, but I also desire peace. And in your mind, you're like, both of those things can't happen at the same time. And so one side is going to be like really heightened and it's going to take over. And the other side is just going to kind of like go into this hiding place in your shadow where it's like, excuse me, like I would like to speak up. I have something to say. But then this part is so overtrained, and not by accident, right? Society rewards this. So it gets heightened, and then we're left with really overachieving and a really successful life on the outside. But sometimes on this side is either you're feeling unfulfilled or you've done it and burnt out, which I've been there. I've had 2 big moments of burning out in my life. Or you are lost. Like you have this, I've done it all, but like, okay, it's a hungry ghost. Like what's next? What's next? What's next? And you're never like, where's the point of satisfaction? So that's kind of how to navigate, like, where am I, right? When we work with it, it's really interesting and fun because we think of these as parts and pieces. So parts work is really popular right now, and for a reason, because it works. And there's different styles of parts work, but essentially we can look at each individual part and like treat it like you're having a conversation. So maybe you write this out or you speak it out loud, but journaling can be really helpful, and you can name each part. So like maybe part A is like high achiever you, and part B is rest you or peace you, or
I'll share my names for it.
Yeah.
You have my specific names.
I was like, can I give these examples?
Go for it.
You can totally share your version of these because I love them. And then I think it ties in so well what you've manifested in your own life once you put this together. So I would love for you to. Do
you mean to share with it real quick?
Yeah, go for it. Okay. Yeah, I think this is a good place to share.
So we've done this, and then we'll segue also to emotions being messenger, because this is what helped me come to this. Is I have a very much one side to me that is a go-getter. Like she's driven, obviously, with what I've created and been very passionate about. Is that's my let's go do the thing side. But I've known is when I'm so far in that go do the thing side, is I get exhausted like no other. And I didn't realize this until a few times that we were really digging deep, is I also had this side to me, and I call it Farmer Kelsey. I have the go-getter side and then Farmer Kelsey side, where I could be out in the middle of nowhere with a flip phone and be completely content in life. But what the realization was for me is I can't just have both separate, meaning I can't just only be Farmer Kelsey, because then I would be missing the there's more. There's something else in life. But if I'm only the go-getter driven side to me, then I don't have that balance too of feeding the farmer side that values that rest and just stillness and peace. So that's what you're kind of alluding to, is those two sides. And I was for the longest time not aware that that farmer side even existed for me, or I was aware with it, but I was running away from it because I was afraid of, well, if I give any time and attention to it, they might be taking away. And it was just fear that was driving everything of my decisions.
Exactly. And so where you would go next with this, if you're a listener and you're like, okay, I'm following, I've got these two parts. Now, how do I heal this inside of me? We have a conversation with each part. And what we really want to get down to is like, what does each part value? Mm-hmm. And often it tends to be the same thing. It's not always the case, but when these two parts are warring with each other, getting down to like, what do each of these parts value? How are they trying to support you, you as the person? Then you can start to talk with the same language. Yeah. And then you can start to work together as if you were like sitting at a group table together of like, okay, you value this, here's my goal. Is there a way that all three of us can work together to move towards that goal in a way that honors both pieces? And the part that I didn't say that helps you get there is through the lens of self-compassion. This is highly under talked about, especially as high performers, because we think that, oh, well, I've got to like problem solve. So I've got to over critique myself to be able to like figure out what's wrong, fix that, move to the next level. Yeah. And so you're always looking for the missing piece, which is great. However, we have this underdeveloped compassion. And I don't know about you, but coming from like a top tier university, and especially in the program that we were in, there wasn't a whole lot of compassion in there, right? It was very much like, you know, like you got to like go for the top no matter what. And we are going to like push you to your limits, but not through kindness. And so something else that I think is really important to say is that self-compassion is productive. And in fact, it is the number one predictor of flourishing for humans, which I think is really great. And you can think of flourishing as like, I don't know, basically saying like doing what you love and having a really great life and feeling good about it. Like that's flourishing. And self-compassion is the number one thing that gets you there. So when we do this type of inner work, we're really doing it through that lens of self-compassion of like each part is talking to the other and being like, can you understand how this part was trying to be helpful? Can you understand what it's looking for? Can you understand that this part being hyperactive is so innocent because it was doing what it thought it needed to keep you safe? Can you see that this part went into hiding because it felt afraid of what would happen if you stopped to rest? So we operate unconsciously from a fear place. And what happens when you do this work to really uncover what's going on underneath the hood and heal that stuff, you can stop moving from unconscious behavior and protection and start moving from a place of inspiration. And that gets you way further than criticizing yourself, than ignoring your needs, ignoring your nervous system's need to like rest and take care of yourself. I mean, you've seen it. How much have you expanded since giving yourself the time to actually take care of your nervous system so that it can meet you at the level of success that you're calling in your life?
It's been, you feel like you're beforehand in me not focusing on the rest or just focusing on that part of me that I was just ignoring for the longest time. You just feel like you're a hamster on a wheel. Yeah. And you're like, I can keep going until I can't. And you get to this kind of dead end where then you need to just take a day and do nothing and stare at a wall. But now it's not necessarily I need to run until I can't run anymore and then just completely veg out and do nothing for a day or two. It's this rhythm in my life that the best word to describe it, and I was not always a fan of this word because I think it can get misconstrued in culture, but I feel balanced. Like I when I go. When I am out in my fields, I'm out in my fields and I'm enjoying it. And I just feel like the multitude of sides of me are being fed. And I can feel when it's a little out of sync and I don't have those rhythms in my life. But I wouldn't have had the self-awareness if we wouldn't have done a lot of the sessions that we had done. But also one of the biggest lessons that I've learned from you is that your emotions are messengers. And instead of just discrediting them, or if you're anything like me, also growing up as an athlete, we would not even think about the emotional side. Like I would just go muscle my way through life. And I remember this was years ago before we even reconnected, as I had somebody ask me, Kelsey, what are you feeling right now? And I had probably 3 or 4 words that I could give her. Happy, sad, angry, excited. Like I didn't even have the verbiage or wording for it. And I saw this be a limiter for me in relationships, specifically one with my significant other, because I couldn't even communicate the words because I wasn't tapped into myself emotionally to be able to give him that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So can you expand on that too?
Oh yeah, 100%. And I just want to say I was the same.
Yeah.
Like no emotional vocabulary. There's a thing called the feelings wheel. Like my therapist handed me that, was like, can you name what your emotion is? And I was like, I don't know. Let me see.
I was like, there's this many? I was like, I didn't even know this many existed, let alone feeling them.
Yeah. So I think that's just maybe in our culture specifically, there's definitely just a disconnect from our emotional world, because somewhere along the way that we learn that it's not safe to feel or it's not okay. Like think about even shushing babies, right? Like from the moment we start crying, we're told to be quiet. So like, why would we ever feel comfortable expressing emotion? So yeah, it's great when we have more ability to be with our emotional landscape. And I love the way that you say that emotions are messengers. They tell us a lot about what's going on in our lives, and tapping into them and into our body too is really a great way to get grounded and out of your head. High achievers live in their heads, right? So getting back into your body and back into your emotional world is a way to actually heal yourself from being in the busy mind, because the mind is great at what it does, but it's not always what where the solution to your problems lies, right? Like there's an Einstein quote. I'm not going to say it verbatim, but I'll summarize it. It's something along the lines of, you can't solve a problem from the same level that created the problem.
I think you said it verbatim.
Oh, check that out. I remembered well. And when we are trying to solve a problem from the level of the mind, it's not always going to help us move forward in our lives. Not when it comes to like getting in tune with like our purpose and what's next for me and following your aliveness, those sorts of things, right? It's good for normal daily stuff, running a business, like, but even that we can get tapped into our bodies, right? The body holds so much knowledge for us, and it can be a big access point. So back to, what does it mean that your emotions are messengers? It's just giving you feedback and data about where you are. So people think I need to run away from my emotions to like feel better. Right? Like I'm angry. Okay, I don't want to feel that. So let me just like distract myself so I don't feel angry anymore by like scrolling on social media or watching this thing to make me feel better. That's one strategy. But if you ignore it, it's just going to keep building, right? It doesn't actually move through you. So some of the work that we do is learning how to tap into your emotional world in a way where you can sit in it to move through it so that it releases out of your body, right? The body stores on to so much. Whatever you can't process in the moment gets stored in your body. And that's where like burnout happens and chronic stress, chronic things like chronic stress, chronic anxiety. It's all because of these little things that have just been stored up in your body for so long that you have not had a release for. So think about animals, right? When they go through a stressful situations like dogs, they immediately shake it off, right? And then they can be back to their self. If you look at babies, and I can use this as an example because I have a toddler and it's so fun to watch her navigate her emotions. Toddlers can switch emotions so fast because they process them. They don't hold them in. They don't hold grudges. They aren't like, you made me mad 5 days ago. So, right? They just are mad and then they feel it. Yeah. And if they have a conscious parent that can hold for that and be like, I'm with you, it's okay to be angry, they learn that they can like feel that all the way through, let it go, and it doesn't stick. But for those of us, because all of us have to some degree, who have this built up stuff, learning to sit with it is really simple. You just take a conscious breath. You identify what you're feeling. And if you want to go through it on the emotional level, you give it language, right? So you can speak from that emotional part. And then you'll learn so much from that, right? Like that's where we guide, when we coach together, I guide you through like, okay, like, yeah, and that made you feel what? yeah, when's the first time you remember feeling that way? And it can lead you back to that original imprint, and we can heal that original imprint and then move forward from there. It's like, this got to explain to me in EMDR. So it's not exactly the same in the way that we're doing it here, because we're not doing EMDR, but when we have like a traumatic experience, so think of, I guess, what we do in coaching as a less intense version of this, is when a traumatic moment happens, you have this like normal path that memories take in your brain. But when something traumatic happens, instead of being on that normal path, it gets stored over here, somewhere where it's not supposed to be. And that's why it becomes so triggering to you. You remember it easier. Like, let's say, I don't know, you got made fun of in school for the clothes you wore or something, right? Like, and so that stuck out to you. And now, like, you're afraid to express yourself authentically because you got made fun of as a kid. So what we do in any sort of inner work is we try to do reprogramming work where we take that memory and move it back into its original path where it's supposed to be, so that it no longer triggers you or activates you. We reprogram it so that you're not acting out of fear-based programming anymore, because it's healed in a sense. And it's not a one and done, right? Some cases are like, that's why I love EMDR as a therapeutic approach, because it's intense and really healing for big T trauma stuff. But on the micro level, like for those of us who are doing like healing work every day, doing this kind of emotional healing where you're sitting with your emotions, giving them an outlet. And then the most important part that I haven't gotten to yet, which is tapping into what that emotion feels like in your body. Sitting with it, being with it without being in the story in your mind about what you think it means, but just literally feeling it in your body as a sensation, breathing through it. It'll pass in 90 seconds or less. Like, that's how quick healing can be when you really take the time to learn it and do the inner work. And then once it's gone, in that moment, it's like almost you have this junk drawer of stuff that's making you stressed. It's like you took out one piece of paper out of the junk drawer. So it's easier to close this time. And then you do that again, and maybe it's 3 that come out this time. So that's what the inner work does on a consistent basis, is it clears out your junk drawer. So in the future, when you feel angry or sad or triggered, you're not pulling out an entire junk drawer of unfelt stuff. You're just dealing with that one thing in the moment. And so that's when we become like dogs, where we can feel it, shake it off, and then move forward with our day. And we're not holding it in our bodies where it shows up later as like an outburst to our spouse or significant other, or poor sleeping where you're like wired but tired, or shows up as unfulfillment in your life, or not saying the thing, right? Those are all symptoms. Yeah. People think like, oh, I'm not sleeping, that's the problem. But that's just the symptom. And the work that we're talking about is about going to the root of like what's really going on. And then all of a sudden your sleep improves. And then all of a sudden you're performing at a higher level than you ever had, but you're feeling more peaceful inside and it feels easier for you. Then all of a sudden you're training in the gym harder than you've ever trained before. So like that's a byproduct of the inner work. It's 80% inner work, 20% outer strategy. Most people have that backwards, and that's why it takes so dang long to make progress for a lot of people.
And it can be frustrating from past experience. And what I'm hearing you, and I'll say this in what I've experienced too, is now when I feel something, or I notice myself feeling something, I'm like, oh, okay, what's going on here? And I give myself a moment and space to understand, what am I feeling? And then if I have the time, okay, where do I feel it in my body? What does it look like? And then what is this trying to tell me? Where's the first time I felt this? The amount of things I've been able to so quickly move through now versus me just brush it off. And then it's like one of those things where you brush it off once, but it'll compound behind the scenes until that one little needle on, the camel's back will come on, and then everything comes out. It's been just such beautiful strategy that has deeply impacted my life. And I want to double down on this too, because you said something a couple minutes ago, how we can so easily be in our head and not in our bodies. And I know many people where it's hard to get in our bodies. And so why is it powerful to get in our bodies? And then how what would be a first step would you recommend for those people?
Oh, I love this question. And the first thing I want to say is if you haven't been in your body, there's a reason. Something about it doesn't feel safe. And so the very first step in any inner work is to give you a foundation of safety. So what do I mean by that? It's your nervous system it's got one job. Its one job is to keep you safe, keep you alive. Yeah. So even if there's a perceived threat, a task on your list that you've been putting off for 3 weeks that's now due tomorrow, if it's a really big meeting with a corporate investor or something, and you're like, that's perceived stress, just as stressful as if a tiger were in front of you right now about to eat you. Like, your body doesn't know the difference. And so the key to getting in, so I guess the answer is getting in your body can be really powerful to get you out of your mind because it helps you tap into your innate creativity. I think that having a mind-body practice is a way to tap into God versus just being in your head. God gave us bodies for a reason, right?
He gave us emotions for a reason too.
That too, yeah. Like, all of it is so powerful. So I think that it can be really cool if we can figure out a way to basically like biohack our entire system that's been given to us, right? And people do that. Where was I going with this? So number one, if you don't feel safe in your body, that's okay. Don't judge yourself that you've been living in your head. You're doing it for a reason. And so you want to establish some way to come back to safety in your body. And so that what that can look like is a grounding practice where you're just breathing, feeling your feet, being in nature, mindfully drinking a glass of water, literally saying to yourself, right now, am I safe in this exact moment? And just looking around being like, yeah, I am safe, aren't I? Because like your brain doesn't think you're safe. So you've got to like train yourself to come back into safety. Yeah. That usually will help you drop into your body. That's why breath work is really powerful. There's so many different styles of breath work that activates you, breath work that calms you, but breath can help you kind of bypass the busy mind and get you into your body. So we talked about like, how is it an unlock, what to do to get into your body. Was there anything else that you wanted out of that?
No, that's basically, because you hit the nail on the head where we can live in a society where it's very head driven, right? What's the next task to do? What's the next thing on my calendar? But how often are we getting out of our head and into our bodies? And from training, you can do that also with training, but we need to be intentional with that. It's like really feeling your body and giving yourself that space. But I want to go into this route too, because you're a mom and you have a little one. How old is she now?
19 months.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And to have the awareness that you have as a mom and seeing this little one grow, how is that widen your perspective on the work that you do? And then also being a mom, what do you do differently now with the knowledge that you have to help the mamas out there guide their little ones better?
I love these questions. The first thing I want to do is go back and add to what you said about getting in your body, which you were tapping into the most important piece, which is your peace. I think your peace is really in your body, not in your mind. And so that's the third thing that I was thinking of. Motherhood was the catalyst for my entire spiritual evolution.
No way. Yeah. I've heard that from a lot of people.
Yeah.
I only got a dog, so I can't tell you that yet, but hopefully one day.
Yeah. And it happened before I was a mom, like before actually being pregnant. I remember my husband and I, we were still dating at the time, but we lived together, and I had this, it just hit me like this inner knowing. I was like, I want to be a mom. I'm ready. And then as soon as I had that thought, I was hit with just like gut-wrenching anxiety and fear, because I was like, oh my God, what if I pass down all of my pain onto my child? What if I do it wrong? What if I mess up? Like, oh my God, I can't be a good mom. I don't know how to do this. And that alone was like enough for me to say, I need help. And that was at the same time as the Black Lives Matter movement was hitting the latest crux that it was in. COVID was happening. So there was a lot of other external things going on too that were adding to this like stress that I was feeling, where I was like, I can't bring a child into this world because I don't even know how to regulate myself, let alone care for a human being. So I went on my healing journey, and it started with being in therapy myself And then it led to, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing I've ever experienced. I was like, this is what it feels like to be safe in my body. And then it led me to like looking around at the career I had created and being like, this isn't it for me. I had this day where I woke up and I was like, oh my God, I'm living my dad's dream for me. This had nothing to do with what I wanted to do. I was like, I grew up, my dad telling me, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be a doctor. And so I became a doctor of physical therapy, thinking I was being defiant for not becoming a medical doctor.
He's like, it's still a doctor.
Yeah, he's like, got you. But then, yeah, so then I had to do this like big, like self-discovery journey of who am I and what do I want out of my life and how do I be a good mom? And it really came down to, and this is something I think that why parenting has been so easy for me, because I parent her the way that I parent my own inner child. So doing like the inner work of reparenting myself, I can look at her and be like, what did I need when I was 1 year old? Somebody to just tell me it was okay to be who I was, to feel how I was feeling, to pay attention to me when I just wanted someone to pay attention to me, to like look at me, really look at me and just play with me, you know? So it's really easier, I think, than people make it seem to be from that aspect. And then honestly, professionals say this, but they say like, if you want to figure out how well a kid is doing, look how well their parent is doing in terms of their emotional regulation, because children can't regulate themselves, right? They rely on the parent to regulate them. So if you're dysregulated, your child's going to be dysregulated, and that leads to like behavioral outbreaks and things done to try to get attention, but it's because they just don't know how to handle it, right? They throw things, they hit, and then, you know, parents' reaction to that is to like be like, no, stop that, like, or be a good girl or be a good boy. You're being bad. And they don't really realize that that's perpetuating the problem, versus when you do the work on yourself to see like what's going on underneath, you can do that for others too. It helps in all relational dynamics, right? Like whenever I'm talking to someone, especially if they're hurting and they're just venting, like a friend or something, or my partner, or if somebody's angry, even if they're angry at you, the way to like soften anybody is to just look at them with understanding and try to understand like, what are they saying underneath all of that? It's like, oh, I really hear that you're scared right now. Is that right? Or, oh, honey, yeah, it looks like you're having a hard time right that. Would you like a hug or do you need a break? Right? Like there's so many different ways that we can, again, self-compassion, we can allows it, when we practice that on ourselves, we can do it more easily for others. And so that was the unlock for me, learning the tools on myself so I could practice on myself, become a regulated human. That way I can show up better for the people in my life.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I have two piggyback questions. Number one, because you kept talking emotional regulation, and that's, we hear a lot about that, but I just want you to briefly say, what is that? Like, what's the definition of that? Yeah. And then I'm going to ask your second question on a more of a practical, tangible tip for people.
Yeah, nervous system regulation, emotional regulation, they're kind of pointing to similar things. And you could literally Google or use ChatGPT or whatever and be like, what are some quick ways I can do to regulate myself? But you want to think about, it's very simply coming back home to safety. That's it. So when your emotions are in a heightened state and you're like either feeling the need to be out of body or you're like ruminating and how awful you feel because you're holding on to it, it's like the simple practice of taking that conscious breath, putting your feet on the floor, feeling that you're like supported in your chair. That's a really easy way to regulate yourself, slowing your breath down. It's a big toolkit of things that you can do to emotionally regulate. So what does it mean? Come home to safety. And allowance, I guess, is another word that you could pull into. You can allow yourself to feel exactly how you're feeling without making it mean anything about you, right? Like we're going out of the meaning making machine that is the mind and saying like, I understand, of course you want to make it mean something, but right now I'm just going to sit and feel this way. For people who are like, it feels too big, there's no way I could sit with this, I'll be there forever. That's where I would say like, get support, right? Like you're not meant to do this alone. If you are like so unfamiliar with what it feels like to be in your body, or it doesn't feel safe, or how do I regulate myself? You're not really sure. Definitely get support.
Right.
Like, I think that's the best thing that you could do for yourself.
Yeah. Which goes on to my second question with it, because so we talked a lot about getting out of your head into your body, your journey of more also the self-discovery of, man, the career that I built for myself. It's not necessarily my dream. It was my dad's dream.
Mm-hmm.
And as individuals are hearing this, they're like, yeah, that hits home, or wow, I've never thought of it like that. So what are 1 to 2 things that they could do this week to move them closer on them getting to know themselves better and just listening in or feeling in versus get them out of there or getting them in their head, basically?
I love this. Having a morning routine
Yeah.
that immediately taps you in to the divine, I think is an incredible way to move forward with intention in your life, to be really in like on purpose. And it doesn't matter what you believe, right? Like tapped into a power that is bigger than yourself. Or if you're really not into that at all, you could even just think about it as like tapping into your higher self, right? But I have a feeling that everyone who listens to you is probably pretty close
Similar.
to
I mean,
to
they're on
God.
the same path. Yes, that's. I don't shy away from it.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily firm believers, or that's something big in their life. But that they're listening to this, I don't shy away from it. So they know that that's a big part of me, and a big
Yeah.
part of probably why they're listening to.
Yeah, and that waking point is such a critical time because your brainwave state is literally in a state that you're really subjective, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So take advantage of it, right? Like before reaching for your phone and getting sucked into like what other people want your attention to be on, set your intention, right? So it can be as simple as you wake up, you take a conscious breath, you feel your feet when they hit the ground, and you set an intention for the day. It can be that basic, but I'm a big fan of meditation because it does some of that nervous system regulation work for you. It's like brushing your teeth for your brain, right? It just,
I like that.
it just keeps your brain healthy and regulated. I think everybody should have a meditation practice. So, and they all look so different. I'm a big fan of, if you want to resource, Ziva Meditation, Z-I-V-A, Emily Fletcher's
I read her,
work.
but what's her book?
Stress Less, Accomplish More.
Oh, I read that probably 10 years ago, Thalia.
It's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. So I love that style personally. For me, that's what I use every day. But there's lots of different styles of meditation. So you can find something that lands for you. When I was brand new to the work, I started with Headspace because it's so approachable. I really liked that. So for beginners, that was really fabulous. But having a dedicated practice in the morning that gets you right, basically, is like the biggest thing you could do to regulate yourself. And then the second habit that I would say is, what would I say is my second recommendation for that?
To allow them to get in their body or just get connected with a deeper sense of themselves that they might have never even realized is there.
Yeah. Having like a journaling practice, maybe I would say something where you can ask the better questions, basically, I think is really cool. Like I think about successful people that I really admire. I feel like something they all have in common is they ask really good questions. So getting into your heart space and then asking a meaningful question. So it could be as simple as like, what is mine to do today? And not forcing the answer or even expecting one, but just being open to the answer, like showing up in your life. If you want to talk about getting like tapped into your like divine purpose, that can be a really simple way to just lean to it. And then listening, right? Something that I really love about you that you do naturally, and maybe this wasn't natural and something you developed, which
I'm
could
waiting
be
to
really
hear
fun
what
to talk about, is how well you follow through on your intuition. Like you hear your intuition and then you follow through with your intuition. I think a lot of people are disconnected from that inner guidance, that inner voice. So I guess the real answer to question 2 for me is tapping into your intuition, finding a practice that helps you do that. So yeah, what do you like to do for that? How have you developed that?
You flipping the question on me, aren't you?
I know, I can't help it. It's
No,
coaching me.
I know, and I was going to say, too, one of the things I valued the most and why I was going into my 30th year this past September, and I said, Thalia, I need somebody to ask me hard questions that I might not know to ask myself. And that's what embarked our journey with it. And little did I know the beginner step of you just asking certain questions led me into such a deeper understanding and knowing of myself that to this day, I'm just eternally grateful for, because I'm excited for the woman that's going to be a part of a marriage one day, that's going to be a mama. And I don't feel that I'm going to be 100%, wow, I'm never going to never going to have an issue. Like, I don't expect that. But what I am really excited about is just a more whole version of me going into that. And so with that, is you asked the question of like, hey, what are the few things that you do? Is last year I decided, and it was really hard for me to decide this, is 12 plus years before, I'd wake up, I'd go train. Like, that would be my thing every morning. Get up, get after it, go do the thing. And I enjoyed that for a period of time, and I needed that season. But when I was feeling this shift of, man, there's another depth that I want to get to. And for me, that matched up also in my faith journey of where I felt like I was getting called to, is I changed my morning. Is I wake up, and now I do a small little Bible study with me and the girl that lives with me. And I shifted my training time. I shifted where I trained. I shifted who I trained with, solely because I valued that time and space more than I valued me just sticking to a routine because it was what was comfortable for me. And I'll say this from experience, is that what seemingly was a small shift led to such a deeper understanding and more depth than I could ever ask or imagine. So your tip for that was gold, because it would have been comfortable for me to stay doing exactly what I was doing. But I knew for me to get to where I feel like I'm being led to and become the woman that I feel like he's calling me to become, I can't keep doing the same things for it. So you hit the nail on the head with that.
Yes, and something I think that you're not saying, but is so obvious in you through your Bible studies, you're having a conversation with God.
Yes.
And that's
All
what
the time.
intuition is. It's like, I remember in college, I had a roommate, and her now husband was training to be a pastor, and he would tell me, he's like, oh, I was having this conversation with God, or God told me, and I'm like, God doesn't talk to you. Are you crazy? Like, this guy doesn't know anything. Because at that point, I was still bought into only certain people can talk to God. And then I started learning all of these spiritual practices that give you that direct access to the divine. That includes meditation. That includes, we all have an intuition. It's not just something that like psychics have or like, you know, like we all have this ability to connect because we have souls. Or, you know, if you don't want to use soul, you can use the word essence. There's an essence in you that carries on, that was you before you got a name, before you became whatever profession you were. There was still this you that was there, that's always there, that is connected to unconditional love. And that's what we all need to tap into on a daily basis if we want to find more peace, more freedom, and love the heck out of our lives. Because if we're not, what are we here for if not to like truly love the life that we're living, to make an impact in a way that feels really good, right? Like we were not put on this planet to suffer and then die. Like the suffering, there's a lesson in it. There's a lesson. And when you can learn the lesson and then move forward, your pleasure is right there. Like you can take it and this life is supposed to be pleasurable, and it's through tapping into unconditional love that gives us the access to the divine messages that are coming through us, whether that's through a Bible study where you can like write and talk to God that way, through prayer, through meditation, through like everybody will have their own unique way that they like to connect. But something that directly connects you to the unconditional love that you are is like the best thing you could do for your life.
Literal game changer.
Literally.
Oh my gosh. I mean, we're literally talking tomorrow is what we are too, which I'm so excited for. But I just appreciate just you taking the leap. I'm writing a whole book about the nudge, and the nudge is uncomfortable. It's the feeling of, okay, I'm called to do this thing, but I'm nervous too. And you not only had the nudge, is you took the leap towards the nudge. Just as you said, is we also have choices to make with that. Is, okay, are we going to take the step or are we not? And it's not to fear you into taking the step. It's not to fear you into any of it, but getting called into what you were purposely created for. And I can feel that with you of, it's not just something that you just kind of sign inside out. Like you genuinely, the depth of your being, not just enjoys what you're doing is what I can tell, but also is passionate and is serving to so many people. So thank you for being the woman you are today, but then also just sharing the wisdom selfishly with me that I can reap the reward from also the path that you walked as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. It does, at least for now, feel like my life's work. And there is a deeper piece in just getting connected to that. So I appreciate you for having me here to have these deep conversations, for being available for it. And it always leads to a good time. And I'm inspired by the work that you're doing in the world. So thank you.
And for those that are interested, I always want to put this, and we'll put this in the show notes. Where can they connect with you at? Like, what is their next step? If they're like, girl, you're speaking my language, or hey, I've never heard this before, but I want to know more. Where would they connect with you at?
Best place to find me is actually on Substack, and it's just Thalia Dorsten. So follow my publication there. That's where I drop like my deepest stuff. Perfect. So if you've loved this conversation and you want more, find me there. You can also find me on Instagram at Thalia Dorsten, ThaliaDorsten. And you can just DM me. Yeah. And I actually would really love to give anyone who's listening right now a free gift. I actually, it's funny, I shared this with Kelsey yesterday, how I just kind of downloaded this receiver prayer, because that's where I am in my life of how can I become a clearer vessel for the message? How can I be a receiver? How can I stop living in my mind and live in my body and in my heart? Very much in line with our conversation today. So if you want access to that prayer, just DM me the word receive, and then I will send that your way too. Perfect. So, and that'll be on Instagram.
We'll put that all below too, so they can just click it and they go directly to you.
Perfect.
But is there anything else that you have felt like you want to share that you didn't today, or a question that I didn't ask you that you wish I did?
Really, I just hope that it's so clear that, like, kind of what I ended with before, which is that when you can really stop living in the mind, wondering, like, what should I be doing, or why am I not enough, or feeling like you're not enough, or having that hungry ghost feeling of chasing the next thing and the next thing. What do I need to do to be the success? When you can really stop asking those questions and start asking, what is mine to do today, or what would really light me up today? Those questions you're going to get better answers, clear answers that are going to lead you to a life that you genuinely enjoy living. And that is my mission right now, is like, I want every single person to wake up in the morning and be so excited to get out of bed because they love the life that they're living. So that's, I guess, what I would leave people with.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. I love the love. I love
loving the love.
Well, thank you, Thalia. Thank you for everybody that's listening. And like I said, all this will be in the show notes. Click it. She is somebody that, man, she just is a ball of joy. And so message her, go reach out to her, because she will shed that too on you as well. So love you guys, and we'll see you the rest of the week.